Struggling homeowners is now heading for the Senate, but our next guest sees a loophole to assist people who lied on their mortgage forms. Republican Congressman from Iowa, Speaker King, joins us now. So, Congressman, the president says, you know, he's not going to be bailing out the speculators. He's not going to be bailing out the folks who lied in their forms. But you say they could get through this perimeter. How?
I think it came through very clear. I introduced an amendment in the Judiciary Committee that would have prohibited a judge from cramming down the principal or the interest under these provisions if the borrower had engaged in fraud or under false pretenses or misrepresented the material for their loan. And that amendment passed by a vote of 21-3. But the language was changed after it passed the Judiciary Committee. It was shifted by staff, and it came to the floor, having prohibited, took that language out, and they replaced it with language that said that now a judge could only consider if there had actually been a conviction for fraud. So Congress has spoken on this issue. It was procedurally, it was a disaster. It usurped the votes of 21 members of the Judiciary Committee, but now we have language out of the House of Representatives that allows only for a judge to consider if there's a conviction for fraud, which means that misrepresentation, false pretenses will not be allowed to be considered by a judge if he's going to mark down these mortgages. I think it's a wide open field now. We have about 60% of these liars' loans, or 60% of these loans that are in default have included misrepresentation of information. Usually it's a 50% misrepresentation of the income of the borrower. So that's what we have, rewarding negative behavior and breaking this social contract. Somebody has to pay for it, David.
Congressman, it's Liz out in Santa Barbara. It sounds like the onus you're putting is on the people who signed on the bottom line versus the lenders. Is there any sort of role that you feel the lenders absolutely need to play in this?
Well, you know, I haven't parsed the language carefully on this from the lender side, but I will tell you that what I am reading tells me that most of the participants in this have to agree together. If there's one player that rejects, then usually there's not a liar's loan. So it is the lender, the borrower, the appraiser, and maybe the mortgage broker all together in this. And I think they all should be held accountable. And we have federal laws to cover that. We just need prosecutions, convictions, and sentencing.
But, Congressman, is the cow out of the barn here? The fact is the president has very high approval ratings. He's got Democrats in the House and the Senate. Is this going to get through no matter what?
Yeah, it's up to the Senate now on what happens, but it's breathtaking to see the assaults on the institutions of freedom that have been unfolded here since the inauguration or since the beginning of this 111th Congress. But to tear asunder this contract of mortgage lending and to give people an exemption who have done everything except been convicted of fraud and refuse to allow a judge to even consider it when it's obvious and apparent, I think says what it is. This is about a leveling. This is about class envy. This is about taking from those who do it right and giving it to and rewarding those who do it wrong. Right now we have laws against that kind of fraud, but this will be rewarding them through the bankruptcy court by judges who aren't held accountable in the ballot box and judges who are yet to be appointed by President Obama, who will have a very liberal attitude about these sort of things.
Congressman Speaker King from Iowa. Congressman, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, David and Liz.
Well, take a look at this. These are images from the past.